Hello, good day all. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you are watching this video, right? Okay, now this app is what we'll be using, right? This Pixel Lab app. Alright, so this is the app. So you can also go on iOS or Android Play Store to download the App Store or Play Store, depending on whether it's iPhone or Android, right? But it's majorly in Android phones, right? But I think that there is an you can also get it on App Store, I think, yeah. So okay, we are going to open Pixel Lab. The name of the app, like we know, is Pixel Lab, right? So when you open on it, tap on it, none, and auto save of your last section. That is, if you have been designing in it, they will ask you whether you want to recover it. Now we are going to click on cancel, right? This is the how the UI, that's user interface of Pixel Lab is. There are a lot of things there. So, and that is what I'll be explaining in this course, right? So right now, let me go for the three things you should know in this thing. Okay, let me start from those down, like all these ones that you can see down here. All these ones you can really see down here. These are the ones I really will be talking on, right? So yeah, so that's all these things, all these stuff, right? So now my project on this, everything here really has something it represents. Like this thing here has its own personal thing that once you click on it, it brings out. The same thing with this A, the same thing with this that looks like when I say hexagon, same thing with this and the same thing with this. Everything has each particular thing it brings out in the aspect of this, right? Okay, now for example, now let me click on A. You see there is a different change entirely when it comes to these aspects, right? And it is the same thing with here and here and here, right? So that was what I was trying to explain, that it is dependent on anyone you click. So whenever your this thing is on, so whenever your this place is highlighted, whenever this is the place highlighted, then it will come with a different thing. So here you can, once you want to check maybe your project, what you have designed before and saved on Pixel Lab, right? Of course, I will teach you how to save your designs on Pixel Lab, but any design you have saved in the past, this is where you can get it. Click on my project and you see a list of them, right? So also here, this thing here, you can see are just the types of fonts or the types of background that are made available by you, that comes by default with Pixel Lab, right? Okay, so for example, if I click on it, okay, this is the default, this is what is already showing here. Now if I use this and they'll ask you, are you sure you want to open the project? Any progress will be lost. Anything you have been doing so far will be lost. You click on OK. You see, it has the same. It has the same. Has the same background with this one, right? So that's to say, if I click on these two, right, you see that everything changes. So all these things are different, but to a large extent, I don't really see the reason why I will start using all these backgrounds, because they are not really dope, right? So I will not advise anyone to look at those backgrounds. You can actually create a very good design from scratch, even from this Pixel Lab. So you don't really need anything, right? So now go to, that's the major thing that has to do with these circles that are interwoven, these three circles that are interwoven, right? So now you have to go to A. Now this A is what I call the text editor, right? What did I say? I call it, this is what I call it, text editor, right? It is anything you want to use to, any text you have, you want to increase the size, you want to change the font, you want to color it. Once it has to do with text, just know that you have to do it in this particular place. this particular place that is highlighted, right? That is, sorry, not there, I mean this. So that's for that. So delete. Let me go back to this and change to the default here. So this is how we will see it, right? So now let me say this new text. This new text now is what will enable me to write text. But for me to do anything that has to do with text, even for me to edit this thing and write what I want to write. For example, let me say I want to write something like name, right? Name. So I want to be able to do anything. It's only when I come to this text editor on A, right? I want you to notice a difference. When a text is highlighted, all these options comes out, right? But see when it is not highlighted, you see, it will give you an option to add a text or a quote. That is anything related to text. So you click on text, it will give you new text. And once anything like text is highlighted, you see that all these things are really opened, right? So that's that. That's why I call it the text editor. That is the name actually. So anything that has to do with editing of text, it is here you did. So let me say, okay, like now previous, if I want to delete this particular text, I will not do it here or here or here. I will have to come to this A and click on delete. That is how it will be able to delete, right? So the same thing with quote. You write a quote after let me say you are using this quote, particular quote here. Let me say you are using this particular quote here. This after a storm comes, you can just click on it. After a storm comes, you see anything that has to do with writing text. And once a text is highlighted, the text editor brings out options that you can use to edit this text. Even if you want to edit, you can write something else, you see, and being added. So you can click on copy. I mean, anything that has to do with text, it's in the text editor. Now there are a lot of things here, and I really want us to really pay attention to this section. It's very important. Now when I highlight this, I want to teach you the essence of all these icons, right? I will really and more. I want to teach you all, so you have to pay attention. So when it comes to styles now, styles are patterns that you have already done before, or maybe that comes by default in with Pixel Lab that you really want to go and pick without having to start everything from beginning, selecting font, choosing color and everything. For example, now, let me say browse. Let me click. After clicking on styles, you click on browse. Now you see these are different kind of styles that has already been stored. So that let me click on sample. You see that this new text takes this form of that new text that sample that I chose. So in this thing, one beautiful thing here is that you can really come and save your own style. My style is right. I'll not save any style here, right? Okay, let me say that I go to font. I choose this, right? Click on OK, then come to color and click on this thing, then or red, or even rather gradient. I'll teach you how to do all this, right? And I decided that okay, I like how this text is, I want to save it for next time. I can just really come to, after highlighting this particular text, I can come to styles, click on save the current text as a new style, click on OK. After saving this, right, you highlight it, go to text and browse. You see it in my styles. You see the particular style that you did. You see it is now shown here in under styles. So this is one of the beautiful ways to always retain patterns, and without having to start them from beginning, right? So that is that for that. You can always play around it. Now edit is what we all normally know. For example, if you want to go and write something, click on edit. So instead of deleting all these ones after all, you can always come to this button up here and click on and tap on delete, and all of them will delete once, right? Then you now come and type name. So you may not really want to stress yourself starting everything from big capital letters, but if you really want to convert all these things to capital letter easily, just tap on this TT. Once you tap on it, everything goes to capital letter. Then you click on OK. You see, right now this is that. So that is the function of the edit, right? Try to make sure that this video is not long. So we all know the new function of the delete button. You also know the function of copy. If you maybe you want to follow a particular pattern, because just like I explained in the first video to watch um about the different principles, we all know that maintaining the same style or the same color or and even the same font is called repeating, like that repeating of font and style. So instead of trying to getting a new text and starting from beginning, you can just copy, then edit, and then write any other thing you want to write, right? And it will be so simple like that. You see the same thing. I hope you see the result. So we are just going to delete that and work with the name, right? So okay, let me do this now. When this time is here now, I want to explain this to front and to back. So if I come and bring this time on top of this name, you see that this time will come on top of the name, so it can even block it. But sometimes you might be doing your design and you want something to show, but let it not block something you are trying to show out to people, right? For example, now if I want to make this time to go to back, right, I'll just come to back. Once I come here and click on to back, you see time will be highlighted though, but it will not be at the back of name, right? And also if I also want to make it to be on top, I'll click on to front. You see, so these are the functions of to back and to front. I just wanted to show you guys that. So I hope it is well understood. So okay, yes, that is that for to front and to back. Then this position is a very beautiful thing that is very important, right? Very, very important. So what you have to do, position is, for example, now when you have to move in this thing, trying to put it to the right position. Okay, maybe you are doing a design. Okay, let me just bring in something. Let me just bring in a quick image, right? Then you now want to align, maybe. Okay, let me say that this is like a bullet and you really want to align this time to it. You have to keep moving it, right? You have to keep moving it. But okay, when you come to this text editor, right, and because it's text that you're editing and you want to move to position, you can just instead of moving it like this, sometimes you might just move it, you'll just tend to distort the word so easily. You can just come to position and either increase the distance and then be moving it, right? You see it. Then if you feel that the movement is too much, you can reduce this to, then it will be moving a little, just like how you would want it to be, right? So that is the essence of this position. It's very helpful and it will help you to stop moving around your this thing without and it will minimize mistakes, right? So relative position is just like the same thing with this, but it makes some work easier. If you want to align this time at the center of this whole flyer or of this whole workspace, you click on this. So this is actually for highlighting to the center. So let me say that this is here, and I click on the relative position. If this particular thing here is for highlighting to center, so if I click on it, it highlights to center. If I click this, it goes to the extreme end. For this, if you get, this is how all this works, right? Now sorry for that. Okay, now if I want to take this to the center, but center in a vertical way, I can also click this so that it can be on the center, and I click the other one and I'm sure that this is in the center of the whole flyer, right? So you can also do that for name, you align it to the center, right? You see, this is how it looks like. So that is the difference between the normal position and then the relative position, right? So now the size helps us to either increase or this thing or reduce it. That is it. So you're doing it based on a particular position. So instead of doing this, you see that you can also come here. So you see that you can, as you grow professionally, you can even manipulate everything you are doing in your design without even using your hand to move the actual elements that you are using to design, right? So it's very important that we learn all these things. It's very, very important. You can also use minus sign to add, to reduce it, or to really increase it depending on what you are looking for, right? So now the next thing you are looking at is padding. Okay, now there are sometimes now, like in this flyer now, in this particular name, the space is at the end. See the end, I mean here and here, right? So there are sometimes that there are some fonts we use, the space will be cutting the names, but you can use this left padding to increase the space so that other names can enter, like other parts that maybe is being cut because maybe it is italicized, it can enter. The same thing with right padding, right? So this is it. This and the help. What padding does? It helps to really increase so that no part of the font will be cut, right? So, but I'm just canceling it. I don't need it here. So since my right. Okay, now so I'm coming to padding. Okay, we are done with padding. We are going to color. Color is very important. It is a very delicate matter here, right? So let's go to color first before going to the gradient aspect. So I can really want to color, and I can come from here and choose any color that I choose. I may decide, right? But what if there is a particular color you are looking for that is not here? There is a way to get it. You see this plus. You see this plus sign here. Yes, you want to click on that plus sign. You see there's a lot of, this is a color wheel, right? Now you are looking for a particular shade of red, green. You can come on green, and now anything you see here is what is your actual color going to look like. That is what it will look like on the this thing, on the design, right? So you can come here. If you decide to make it darker, you will be looking at the top here. You'll be looking at the top here, right? So if I decide to make it very dark, okay, this looks like black, but you increase and then do it like this. Or now this, you see, you can really get different shades of green dependent on this thing, or even red, like, or even if it is any color you are looking for. This once you do it, you see, you get it, and it is being added here, right? It will just be added for you so that in case you are wanting to do repetitions, you can just come there and click on the color without going back to start looking for how you got that particular color, right? So that is that for the color. But then gradient is also very interesting. Gradient is a comparison of two or more colors in different styles, right? So like for example now this name, if I give it this particular gradient, you see that is a combination of black and blue, and you see that it was slanted to an extent, right? So you see you can use a lot of things. This is a combination of three colors, I think: orange, green, and blue. So how can you create, do you know that you can create this gradient? And how to do that is just by clicking on this plus sign here, right? So when you click on plus sign, you will see these two things. These are very, very important in trying to, these are one of the things you use in creating everything you are doing, right? So when you tap on this, once this thing is here, this green is highlighted, you see, right? This is how it looks like when it is highlighted. So if I want to choose a color with for this particular one, right, I just, once it's highlighted, I come here and choose a color. So when I say that the color I need here is this particular color, I say okay, you see it takes that color. So I said when I come here to add another color and say that I want it to be this. Wow, you see what a beautiful combination. Therefore I can even increase or reduce. The more the more closer it becomes, the more it will give a more stable boundary, and sometimes it doesn't really look good, right? You can just make it so that it will fade in. Now all this thing really has different patterns, right? Now when you come up here, when you really come up here, you see these are different patterns. These are actually different patterns. So like if I click on this, you see the pattern of this, right? So let me click on OK. You see how it is, and it will come and be added to this place, right? So let me say that no, this is not what I want. I add and I choose this particular pattern, and I decide to give it a pattern, make it, just play around with it, right? You can always do that. So what if I want to add a third color, like we saw the one that added third color? Once you highlight on this, you click on plus sign, another one will be added. You can also highlight that one, then choose a color and add maybe yellow, right? You see how it looks? Can are you seeing how it looks? Okay, let me say okay. You see the beautiful color it gives to it, and you can also determine how the pattern should be. Yeah, something like this. You see it. So you have to really, you can just play around with it, right? If you don't want it, if you don't really need this, you highlight it and click minus, and it goes, right? Then let me say you click this. You can use these buttons, right? You can use these buttons here, these two buttons here, to either control which one is becomes highlighted, right? And the rest of it. So say okay, right? Click on OK. I hope you understood everything. Like if you go on this and you want to change a particular color, you click on this color, and that's how you get a specific color for yourself. And after doing it, it will be added to you here, right? It will be added to you on display palette, so that next time it will be easier for you, for in case you need repetition. Okay, so let me click on good, and because I like this color. So I also come to another very important aspect is texture. Have you seen all this kind of text that you look like it is like you see jeans on it, you see green life on it, that you see green life on it, or green, like it will give a particular texture that is not just a color. It is in this texture that you do it, right? It is through here that you can only do it. So how you do it? When you highlight that particular text you want to add texture to, click on texture, you go and select an image here. Okay, let me say, let me okay, so let me decide to give the text a book, or a book that was written. Let me give it this particular texture. I can choose anyone I want, and let me click on this, and you will see how it will look, right? Okay, I'll be given a part, so I'll crop the particular place I need where was written something, right? I click on good, right? You see it, right? So even if it is a green leaf, even if it is nature, even if it's like a leopard or any animal, it will give it the texture, right? This does not really look, it is not the same with the with this thing, right? So you can even increase the scale, whether you want it to be zoomed in or zoomed out very well, right? You can really determine those things with this scale. So that is it. So that is that for that. So but I'm going to, like, I don't really like it, so I'm deleting it. I want to be working with my color, right? So it's okay. That's what the texture is all about, right? So okay, Yeah, of course. I know that the video may be long, but I think it's worth it. It's really worth it, right? Okay, so now through with texture, let me teach opacity. Let me use this time. So let me say that, for example, that okay, that this is something I really want for it to be at the background, but I don't really want it to show so much, right? How I can really make it to somehow be transparent is through this opacity. I can really come here and reduce the opacity of it and make it to almost look transparent, right? Okay, let me give it a color, a different color. Let me just give it a color so you understand what I mean. So when it comes to the opacity, you reduce it until it becomes dim. And okay, so I don't know whether you understand. So that okay, for me to explain opacity, I really want you to understand what I'm trying to say. So I'm using a shape, and I'm in the shape. Okay, right? So now if I click on opacity and I reduce it, you see it goes out until it's almost invisible, right? So you can really do this and then fix it at the background, and it will be a part of the flyer, but it will not be so shouty, right? But everybody will know it is part of the flyer, right? So these are one of the things you can really do to keep your design so neat and also very interesting, right? Okay, so the next thing I have in line is the rotate. So you see that this rotate is helps you to really turn your this thing upside down or turn it in a way it will be fitting. Okay, let's say like for example now you want to turn it to be on the wall. You can just turn it like this and then take it to the wall, right? Something like that. You can just write something, whether you can, if you want to put in your watermark, right, and put it to write your number. These are the simple ways you can really do it, right? It's, and this is actually an alternative of doing this, of holding this particular curved flat part, because if you hold it you can be able to turn, right? But this is the work of the rotate. I don't know whether you remember when I was telling you that at some point you can be professional, that you don't use your hands to move things, you use the icons, right? You use the functions of the icons to be able to move your things. So that is that for that, right? Now okay, so move to the next icon to avoid wasting time. Marks is very important when it comes to making of these name things, right? Okay, let me say you want to create a marks of this. When you enable, right, this particular place goes off. Why? Because the in was selected, right? In was selected. When out is selected, you see that you see. So wait, okay, let me just cancel this. So marks again. When out is selected, this happens because you see that the out is permanent, is removed. So what if, let me teach you a kind of concept you can do this, right? You can just come and copy this time with this exact. Once you copy it, come here, put on a marks, or come here, put on a marks, put it on a marks, or put on a marks and enable it and choose. Okay, choosing, and then decide. Once you click on it, you click on OK, right? This is what it gives you. Then you can just really color this maybe black, right, or white. Once you are through with that, you can just come and fix it, right? Like using, you can also use positions. These are one of the things that positions will help you do, right? And once they align well, it will be difficult to really make people understand. See, it now makes it look beautiful, right? So let me delete this. Okay, right? So we are still in marks. In marks, that all these things, all these keys are really very important. All these things that are here are really important. because okay, let me say for example you drag this is the part that is being taken away. If you bring this down, this is the part that will be taken, and the rest of it. So you can really be playing around with this. You can really play around with it. You can give it a particular design that you want, right? You can give it a design you want based on what you really want to achieve from doing this, the kind of design you want to give, right? So you can really play around with it. That is what I would advise, right? Then going down, there are a lot of things, just actually work around it. Okay, let me just undo this. Then we go to font. Now Pixel Lab comes with a different kind of font, right? Enough font. Now you have the basic, you have the basic, right? You have the poster. This makes it to be really bold with different types of fonts, right? Now this is the fancy, right? Then this is the non-Latin, right? Even though it comes in the form of Arabic language, but if you look ahead now, you look at here to see the preview of what your font looks like before you click on OK here, right? So let me click on this. Let me click on this. You are seeing it. Let me click on this. You've seen how the text may look. Let me click on shortcut. You see, these are how you. This is where you check it on. Anytime you get, when you get the thing that you need, you can now come and click on OK, right? So now there are three phases here. We have the font, we have the my font, and you have the recent. So my font talks about the whole font that is found in Pixel Lab, right? Recent talks about the one you recently clicked. All these ones I just clicked that day will be found here in recent, right? So but my font is quite different. My font is when you have already downloaded some fonts, because to tell the truth, as a graphic designer, these fonts are provided by Pixel Lab are not always enough. So you have to really download yours from the website, right? Okay, right? And that will be one of the websites that you can use to download beautiful fonts is the website dafont.com, right? Right. Dafont, DAFONTS, dafont.com, right? So if you come on it, you can click on this search, or you can just come up to file, right? And then choose where you have downloaded it, where you saved it. If you have saved it in download, if you have saved it anywhere, you can click on it. Once you click on that particular thing, you click on add directory, right? So you can just play around with it. Go to the let me just type it out. The place is dafont.com, right? This is a website. No, not daftness. Dafont, right? Dafont.com. Yeah, so this is the website you can use to download your fonts, right? So let's go back to, we have talked with about fonts, and so the style now comes in whether it will be bold. Okay, this bold will not affect it because the font is already bold, but you can use italics and it will work. You can also underline it, right? But then if you want to remove everything, you just have to come and click. You just have to come and click this. Once you click on it, everything goes back to normal, right? And actually you can decide what, okay, whenever you see this blue thing that shows what is being highlighted, you can really use it to know what, or give a boundary of what will be affected by that particular action you are taking. For example, now if I just take this and I click on italize, it just italicizes the I and M, right? And if I click on underline, it underlines only those things that is highlighted. So you can see, also play around with it in your colors, your fonts. You can really put 2 or 3 fonts in a particular sentence, but you should do that wisely. You should really do that wisely. In fact, I would not advise a beginner to do so, right? To endeavor going into that. I won't advise any beginner to do that. Just move with the ones you know, right? But it's better you just know about it. Know that this is a possibility in Pixel Lab. Then as you grow, you will now learn how to manipulate it in a way to be good, right? Now, this style I already explained it. Then the curve is if you really want to bend it or bend it the other side, right? So we all know what this is. Background is what we all know. If you want to give it a background, you choose the color. If you don't want to give it a color, you give it a gradient, right? So you see, anything, these are one of the ways you can really make beautiful text, right? Then you can also use this padding. Padding, like I said, is to add space to it, right? You can actually add more space both at the top and even at the bottom. Then you can cause radius. Radius is making the edge to be curved, not really square, right? So you see the edge is getting square, and it can really make your design to be more beautiful, right? So what is this is that for that. So you can really just play around with it, but I'm not doing using this, so I'm cancelling it. Align is okay, align is something like when you click on this, you may not really need to unjustify. If you just click on align, even without it being clicked, it's really happens. So there's no really need of justifying it. Once you click on good, it is okay, right? But I'm not using it like this. So we have seen what is align. Then spacing also helps, like spacing of, like since letters is highlighted, right? You have to, the letters will really be spaced, right? So you, depending on what you're looking for. So if there are 2 or more words, you see it will not okay, let me add another word here, right? Yeah, something like this, and I go to spacing, and I go to word. You see, this is how to reduce words or increase the space between words, right? So that is that for that. And I'm not using this. I'm not using this, right? Yeah. So line spacing also has to do with spacing, but line when it has to do with 2 or 3 or 4 lines, or maybe the font you choose gives a lot of space between the lines. You can use this thing to reduce the line space according to what you want, or how you feel it will be okay for you. You just be playing around with Pixel Lab, right? Now line spacing is the same thing I just explained now. So stroke is, if you just check, you see that this already has stroke. You see that this already has stroke, right? So stroke, once it is disenabled, you see that the black outline goes. So that is what a stroke means, right? That is what a stroke means. So right, so that is what a stroke means. You can really play around with it. Shadow is almost the same thing. So you can give it shadow. You cannot also, you can decide the kind. You see and you can also choose the blur radius, whether to make it bold or little. Choose the opacity of it. Right, choose the opacity, outer glow, right? All this is things you can really play around with depending on what you are looking for in your design, but do not overuse it to avoid making your work bad, right? Now you go to inner shadow, it's still the same thing, right? Instead of having an outside shadow, you get an inner shadow. you can actually play around with it, right? It's very important, but as a beginner, you be careful how you use it, right? But then you should also know that this is something that you can easily do in Pixel Lab. Then Emboss is just like that. You see, you can really be playing around all this, right? The intensity, ambient line, and the rest, right? So just walk around with it. Then perspective is like you drawing it. Have you? So you can even make it look like this. Okay, once it is enabled, right? Then you make it look like this, right? Have you seen something like that always looks like this? So this is done with the help of perspective, right? It's really done with the help of perspective. So click on this. You can even make it to be like this. You see, all these things are beautiful things that you can really achieve with um with Pixel Lab, right? So, but we are not doing this, right? We are not making use of this. So the next thing we are looking at is 3D rotate, X axis, Y axis. So these are just majorly used, especially when you have a, a when you already have a 3D text. For example, now if I come to this time and make it a 3D text by adding some shadows to it, some depth to it, right? I've made it a 3D this thing already, right? I can then go to 3D rotate, and then it will really make sense to you, to anybody seeing it, right? So these are what it entails, right? So 3D shadow is still the same thing, right? Then the reflection, you see it. I hope you have been seeing something that looks like this that is done in some designs. This is, you go to this reflection at the end, towards the end, top end. That is how it is being done, right? So I think with this we come to the end of the food text editor on Pixel Lab, right? So one thing I wanted to know is that what really makes a great design is not doing great things, it's just doing simple things in a creative way. That is how you become great or good in graphic designing, right? So yeah, this is just an advice I really want to leave to anybody or everybody that really got this course. I really want you to grow, and you can always reach out to me whenever you have problems. So sorry for making this video long, but I think it is better to be of quality, right? I think I will really give out. I think I really gave out the quality in all this. So to a large extent, you would have understood a lot by the time you finish watching this course. So I'll advise you to being keep on studying, keep on being serious, and you can always reach out to me anytime you need help with any clarification. Okay, so that is that for that. So see you in the next course.